Hey everybody, Pat here from West Corners Custom Cycles. Welcome back to the Underground Garage. Today we have a surprise build, one I didn't know I was even going to have or get. Where I work, my boss came into my department about a week ago, and he knows what I do. He knows I have the channel. Asked me if I was interested in a motorcycle. And I knew he'd just gotten a new Harley, and I'm sure he wasn't talking about that, so I asked him what was up and what he was talking about. Turns out this was his beginner bike, and, well, maybe not his beginner, but the last bike he had before his Harley. And he says he just wants to see it go down the road. He wants to see it go to somebody who's going to appreciate it, and so he gave it to me. And it's been in storage for 2 or 3 years. It's a Kawasaki Vulcan 500. So we're going to take this thing, we're going to clean it all up, we're going to strip a bunch of stuff off it, maybe make a bobber out of it, make it look cool, and see what we come up with on the other end. Okay, well, I'm going to grab the camera here, we're going to take a walk around it, take a look at this thing. Okay. Here we go. Kawasaki Vulcan 500. Now, it's a nice looking bike. It's clean. Well, it's dirty, but it's not beat up. If we look, you can see that we have about 3,500 miles on the odometer. Paint all appears to be in good shape. No tears in the seat or anything. I think if I get her all cleaned up and shine up this chrome, it'll look pretty good. Hasn't been started. He said he started it about 3 months ago. And he said he tried just a little while ago. The battery's been on a battery tender. Said he tried a week or two ago. He couldn't get it to start. So I'm thinking it's just old gas. Probably the carburetors are going to have to be gone through. Probably that tank and the petcock. And other than that, it's looking like a pretty neat bike. I think we can make a pretty cool bobber out of this. I've already kind of inventoried what I got that I can do with it. One, we're going to get rid of these fixed handlebars. Not crazy about those, and they're set kind of low for me. Plus these giant mufflers down here on the end. I think I'm going to pull those. I got a set of smaller slip-on mufflers in the garage I've already checked on. Got risers and handlebars. And I've put about $300 worth of stuff in the old eBay shopping cart. Gonna wrap these front headers on this. Probably put a solo seat and maybe a pad on the fender, a little bit of a backrest. So we'll go through and make it cool. Put a tool bag on the front, maybe a visor on that headlight. Just things off the top of my head I'm seeing that I could do. All right, well, that's what we're looking at. So I'm going to get this thing cleaned up, pushed back in the garage, and start taking the stuff off it. Get the tank and the petcock off it and the carbs off it so I can go through those. And like I said, probably pull that seat and the handlebars too. And we'll start from there. Okay. Okay, there you go. Kawasaki Vulcan 500. The surprise build. Who knew? But I think it's going to be a pretty cool project. All right, let me get this in the garage and we'll start pulling it apart. All right, everybody. Out here in the garage again. Got that tank off, got the seat off. Going to work on pulling these carburetors out of here right now. That's going to be a fun little task. I'll probably have to fish these out this way. It's like these boots will push back far enough to get to where I can pull these carbs back and pop them out. Looks like I'll have to go out that side. I'll take you out here, show you what's going on with this gas tank and the petcock. Okay, been leaking around here. You can see when I took it off, the paint came off with it. I think there's a gasket under here. Yeah, there is. You can see it right here. It's all flattened out, so it don't look like it was doing a lot, but it peeled all the paint off. One of the reasons is, gas dripping out of it now, is this little fiber washer right here, I think is also to seal around the bolt so it doesn't leak gas. Well, the one on this side right here was broken in several pieces. I think they tightened it down too tight at the factory. Where the heck did it go? There's a little piece of it. So I'm going to get some O-rings and see if I can't seal around those, or some rubber washers. And it also looks like, if you look at the bottom of this petcock, it was leaking profusely right here too. And all around this. So I have another petcock on the shelf. All right, I'm back. I had to go find that thing, see where I laid it down, but here it is. Ordered it off Amazon for the Yamaha Virago, the 85 Yamaha Virago 1100 build, but wound up going with a single carb and gravity feeding it, so I went with a different tank and petcock. And so this was sitting on the shelf. Looks like everything will line up. Perfect. Yep, that'll work fine. All right, I'm going to clean up this surface right here where it's going to go in, and I'm going to run over to the hardware store, find a couple of rubber washers to put around the bottom of these bolts, so that hopefully that'll keep it from leaking. Then I'm going to get back, wash it out with some good clean gas, get it back on the bike. And like I said, I got to get these carbs off. I'll get them down on the bench, get them cleaned out. Okay, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Went and got a couple of neoprene washers. Gonna put one on each bolt here that holds the petcock on. I also went around, cleaned up this surface right here real good. So hopefully we got a good clean surface to seal to, and we won't have an issue anymore. So I'm going to get this on here, and then I'm going to get back to pulling those carbs off. And then we're going to take those down on the bench and go through those, get them back up here on the bike, and get this thing started. All right, we'll be back in a minute. You don't need to watch me bolt this on. Boom, put it in here, just like that, 2 bolts. Okay, be back in a minute. Okay, everybody, we're back in here, back at it. I want to get you down here so you can see what's going on. Widen that. Now, what we got, there's a vacuum line right here. You pop that off, move it out of the way. There's another vacuum line. I don't know how well you can see it right here in front of my finger. Goes down into the center here. We got to pop that off. And let me see if I can get you in here better. Okay, we're back in here. This vacuum line comes off here. Now, if we go down to the inside, you can see, let me get something to point with here. There's a vacuum line right here. That's got to come off. And then down on the inside, let me readjust this camera. You have the 2 throttle cables. One here and one here in the back. Now these, you loosen up this top nut right here, back it off a half a turn or a turn on each one of them, and they'll come out of the bracket right here that they're mounted into. Pop them out. Then you got to loosen these screws right here on your manifold boots and pop your carbs out of there. And then on the back here, I don't know what you can see it. These are pretty pliable. They push right back. And you'll be able to pop your carburetors out of there. And they're going to have to go off the opposite side, out that side. But we'll get them out of there. All right, let me back out here. Get a Phillips head. Back that boot off. That should be enough, I would imagine. So get that out of the way. Now, this vacuum line on the other side goes up to the petcock. So I've already got it off of that, so I don't got to disconnect that. So I just got to work on that vacuum line in there and the two throttle cables. Throttle cables I would really need to label. So when I go to put them back together, I know which one is which, or goes on where. So again, you can see those in there, I hope. Right there, and there's another one next to it. So I'm going to label them right and left with a marker and some tape. And then I'm going to work these things out of here. You guys don't need to watch all that. That's going to be a bunch of fumbling around. Next time you see me, we'll be down on the bench and we'll pull these things apart, get them in the ultrasonic cleaner. All right, see you in a minute. All right, everybody. Okay, everybody. Wanted to get you in here. I didn't wind up pulling this all the way off and throwing it in the ultrasonic cleaner. I did order up another rebuild kit for these carburetors. Got the new gaskets. Now I was looking at the main and the secondary jet in these new kits. These carburetors on the Vulcan 500 are the exact same carburetors that are on the Ninja 500. The only difference is the Ninja 500 is a sport bike, this is a cruiser. In the Ninja 500, well, in the Ninja 500, they have a different set of jets in the carbs. I'm thinking probably because it's a sport bike and it's ridden a little harder and faster, and these are more of a laid-back cruiser and people don't get on them as much, is my theory. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this Ninja kit, I'm going to put the jets, the emulsion tubes, switch everything out on them from the Vulcan 500 to the Ninja 500. Hopefully that gives it a little more oomph. I'm also going to be taking these mufflers off of here and putting some aftermarket Screaming Eagle ones off of a Sportster on here. So I'm thinking maybe the jetting will help with that too. I'm going to use the original air box. So we'll see how it all turns out when I'm done here, and we'll go from there. I may even wind up taking the caps off these CV carburetors and pulling the needle out and sticking a washer underneath the needle and raising them up a little bit. I was reading in one of the forums that one of the guys did that, and he said it really improved the performance that he was getting out of it. So we'll see. We're going to have to play around with it a little bit. I would assume to get everything dialed in the way we want to. But for right now, the goal is get it started. So we're going to, I already took that jet out. I wanted to see which one I took out. No, I took that one out. Okay. Like I said, the jets are different on these with the Ninja. In the Ninja, your secondary jet is a 35 and the main is a 120. In the Vulcan, it is a 25 and a 110. So it's just a difference of 10 in both the jets. That's it. I read on the forum some of the guys went up as far as a 140 on the main, and like a 42 on the secondary. But we'll see how it all goes and go from there. But right now I'm going to get all this changed out. You don't need to watch me do that. I'm just unscrewing these emulsion tubes and the secondary jet that's in here, screwing them back in. Going to put the float balls back on it, turn this thing, get these carbs back in here, get some fresh gas in it, and we're going to see if this will fire. I don't see any reason why it shouldn't. Like I said, the guy I got it from said he had it running about 3 months ago, but it had old gas in it, and so hopefully that and the dirty carbs is the only problem. All right, we'll be back in a second. Okay, everybody, there it is. Got the carbs back on, boots back on, everything tightened down. Got the tank back on. Got the vacuum lines all hooked up and the fuel line. I got to hook it up to the pet cat on the other side. And then I'm going to get some fresh gas in this thing. We'll back it out of the garage and we'll get her fired up. All right, hang on a second. Okay, everybody. Before we get this thing fired up, I want to get in here and I want to change the oil on this thing. So I want to bring you down, show you what we're looking at as far as that's concerned. Down here under the front of the bike. That's your oil filter, right here. You spin that off of there with an oil filter wrench, and then right here is the drain plug. 17 millimeter. You pull that. Let it drip into the pan down here. When that stops dripping, we'll put a brand new nice chrome oil filter on there. And then we will fill it back up. It's 3.2 quarts. And that will go right up in here. And it says right on it, you can see, use SAE 10W40. So, whatever your favorite brand oil is. Okay, that's all there is to it, folks. Gonna be back in a second when we got that all taken care of. Get some fresh gas in this and get it fired up. All right, see you in a second. Check this out, people. Just down to a drip now. All this is only supposed to have 3.5 quarts in it. I'll bet you $100 the pet cot on this was left on prime, which is free flowing. You don't ever put your pet cot on prime on one of these vacuum operated pet cots. Leave it on or reserve. It's vacuum operated, so when you shut the bike off, on is off. If you leave it on prime, it's free flowing. And what happened here is the gas went down, filled all the cylinders, then ran past the rings and down into the crankcase, and all the gas mixed with the oil that used to be in the gas tank in this, and that's why this thing was pretty near empty when I opened it up. You can't even believe the lacquer smell I'm smelling right now. That's a 5-quart pan right there, plus whatever's in this one. So you're looking at 6 or 7 quarts in there. So it's probably half and half gas and oil. And if I were to have started this bike and ran it like that, it would have probably took out the seals in the motor. Now, when I fill this back up, let's see if I can show you. Right here is a little window under there, and that's your looking glass down there for when you get your oil filled. When we fill it back up, I'll get a light down there and show you better. But yeah, unbelievable. So I'm going to let this drip for a good long time to get as much as I can out of that motor before we fill her back up. And it's, you see the ripples in there? It's so thin, it's ridiculous. It's not even like oil anymore. It's like water. All right, we'll be back. All right, everybody, I'm back. I got all the nasty oil and gas out of the crankcase of this thing, let it sit overnight, pulled the drain plug again in the morning, and got any residual out of there, so that's all taken care of. I got to put 3.2 quarts of SAE 10W40 oil in this. I got to get a gallon of gas in the gas tank, and after that we should be able to fire it up, hopefully. Cross your fingers. And once it gets fired up and we know it's running, we're going to tear it down, and we're going to do a bunch of things to make it look cooler than it already does. All right, I'll see you guys in a few. All right, get some petrol in this thing. I want to make sure that pet count's off before I go dumping all this in there. Make sure your petcock is off, people, or on the on position to where it won't just free flow. If you put it on prime, it will free flow and fill the float bowls. But I'm going to do that once I get all this gas in here. Make sure you don't got any leaks anywhere that you're putting this carb on there. Or the carbs on there. Okay. Doesn't appear to be. Plus we put a new petcock on it. All right, now for the oil. See where we're at. Yeah, one more quart. That was exactly 3 quarts right there. It takes 3.2. I'm just going to give it another short little blast. And that'll be good enough to start it. Okay, everybody, got all the fluids in this thing. Time to see what's going to happen with it. Okay, we got it on run. Key. ignition on. Why do we not have a headlight? Huh. No headlight for some reason. Maybe not neutral, I don't know. Let's see what's going on here. Neutral now. One click on the ignition. There we go. Okay, now we had headlight. I don't know what was going on there. Oh, that's right. We got to turn this pet cod on to prime and let them float bowls fill for a minute. Get this up level. Hopefully everything's okay with the floats and nothing's sticking since we put it back together. I don't see anything leaking. That's a plus. Okay, let's try this again. Choke her a little, see if that helps. Huh. Okay. Well, I have the dashboard off of this. There's two plugs here. Actually, a third plug down in here. And I'm not sure what they go to, so I'm going to put this dash back on. Maybe let that gas sit in there for a minute, see if it works its way down into a cylinder or two. And we'll be back in a second. All right, everybody, I think I finally got some gas down on the carb, so we're going to try this again and see how it goes. Key on, run. Maybe choke it a little. Come on, girl. I'm going to pop the screws loose on these float bowls and see if I'm getting gas all the way down. Like I said, I don't know what these two plugs go to. Maybe that has something to do with it, so I'm going to hook that back up too. All right, be back in a minute. Okay, everybody, I got this dash hooked back up. It has a neutral light on it. I didn't know if there was like a neutral safety switch that wasn't making a connection there, so it wouldn't spark. I don't know. Excuse me. I also cracked the bleeders on both the float bowls until I got gas down through them and it ran out of there. So I know I got gas in the carbs now, so let's see what happens. 3 tries for a quarter. Got it on run. Turn the key on. There we go, people. There we are. Running on choke right now because it's cold. About 35, 38 degrees here in New York. I love getting the bike running again. God, I love that feeling. Okay. We'll kill it here for a second so you can hear me talk. About 38 degrees out right now. I'm not going to run this very long because I'm already smelling the exhaust in here. We got about 2 inches of snow a day ago here, so I'm not going to take it out and run it around right now. Now that I've got it running, first priority is going to get it washed up, cleaned up, and looking better. And then we're going to tear it down, and we're going to make it look a lot cooler. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We got this going. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And tune back in again. I want to thank everybody for watching. And come back and see what we do to this to make it look cool. All right. Hey, Chip, thanks. This one's for you, man. He's the guy that gave me this. All right. See everybody later. Peace. As always, live life behind bars and keep the shiny side up, people. See ya.